Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be looking back on the action that took place over the weekend. Arsenal and Liverpool playing to a 2-2 draw. And of course, Chelsea getting a 2-1 win over Newcastle. Also, some big news coming out of Manchester United. But of course, joining me this evening to review these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph, another exciting weekend of football in action. How did you find it?
I mean, interesting weekend. I'm seeing where a lot of teams struggled this weekend. A lot of probably you could say a couple of upsets and strange results. To be honest, Manchester
Yeah.
City struggling against Southampton. Tottenham getting beat by Crystal
Crystal
Palace. I think
Palace.
that's their first win of the season.
That's right.
United getting beat by West Ham. They can't seem to beat any of the London clubs, to be fair. They're
And that
struggling.
that be, that beating led to the sacking of Ten Hag we're hearing, Christoph. I mean, a man who has been on the hot seat from the start of the season, and that's a big shocker. That news breaking today. Ten Hag out. What are your initial thoughts? What's your reaction to that sacking? What the first managerial casualty of the
I
EPL
mean,
season?
as an Arsenal fan, I'm disappointed to see Ten Hag being sacked. But if I were to look at it as a United fan or even as a neutral, I am shocked that it has taken them so long to kind of sack him. Last season was Manchester United's worst ever start to Premier League, and that trend actually continued this season. So I'm a little surprised that they sacked him here, but also it is, I would say long overdue, to be honest.
Definitely a big surprise, Possibly he might have been given a bit more time, but much like yourself, I am actually surprised he lasted this long. And just based on the results over the last 2 years, I would say it's quite shocking that he wasn't act sooner. But as they say, never too late for a show of the rain. And Ten Hag is now out. And who are some of the replacements we are hearing, Christopher? I'm hearing the name of Xavi being shown around. What says you? Who is a good replacement for a Ten Hag, at least on a permanent basis? Possibly, you might find a Van Nistelrooy coming in as an interim manager, and possibly that was the reason he was brought in initially from the start of this season.
Well, it's already, I think it's already confirmed that Van Nistelrooy will be the interim manager until a permanent manager has been found. But assuming if he does well, then he gets the job permanently.
And
But
that
yeah,
seemed to be one of the mistakes Manchester United keep making. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in as an interim, did well enough, got the job, and then subsequently results turned.
to be
Will we be seeing a repeat of that if Van Nistelrooy is to be appointed?
I don't know, but to be fair, since the retirement of Sir Alex Ferguson, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you look at the results, has been Manchester United's best manager post Fergie. So, um,
Even better than Mourinho?
yeah, he had when you look at his stats, wins, losses, draws, he has been the best manager since Fergie. Uh, to be fair, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in my opinion, he did request a number of signings that did not go. They basically went and bought who they wanted. He requested Haaland 2 seasons before he went to Dortmund, right? And yeah,
Haaland is one of those signings
he
which, as we see, has been playing out some rich dividend for Manchester United.
right. So
I mean, for Man City, I should say.
before Haaland even went to Dortmund, Solskjaer had asked for United to sign Haaland, and they would have gotten him probably on the cheap at the time, but they refused the request. And there are a number of other players that Solskjaer had requested, but these requests were denied, and maybe had those um had those signings been in, it might have been a different situation for him, might have been a better outcome for United, but at the moment, uh,
At the moment, it doesn't make sense. Manchester United fans are crying over spilled milk. I mean, you
right,
have to
but
look at the way forward at this point in time. A number of new signings coming into the team, a number of players who played for Ten Hag before is now locked and loaded at Man United. What will the new manager do with these players? I mean, some on big contracts over a long-term period. And
I don't know. I don't know what any new manager is coming. I don't have any managerial recommendation for him.
but
There are
what's our thoughts
there
on
are. I
Xavi,
mean,
possibly?
I don't know. I've heard the rumor. I don't know that Xavi would want to come and coach Man United. I do not know. He
uh,
has no. There's not to say that a manager can come and coach a team that they've never worked with or whatever, but
or
I
even a
don't
league they
know.
haven't worked in
Are
before,
even a league
or
they
even
haven't
the
worked in.
language barrier also. So,
Yeah,
Xavi may be a step too far for a man like Xavi, possibly someone else.
I mean, there's a lot of rebuilding to be done at United at the moment. So if they were any manager that they bring in, it would have to be a trust the process approach if you want to rebuild
The
your team.
Arsenal model, so to speak.
Right, right. They would have to copy what Arsenal has done and allow the manager to
Allow the
slowly get
manager
the
time,
uh,
get rid
slow
of players he doesn't
get
want,
players
bring in
right, get
players,
rid of players he doesn't want, bring in the players that he wants, and have
see a
time to
system of play,
right,
probably change the philosophy of the club, etc.
right, and that is something that I think they should have done immediately after the retirement of Sir Alex. But Man United, they want the instant glory, fine, and it has not been very successful for them so far. And given the time we live in currently, and the type of fans that Man United fans are, they want the instant success, right? It's not going to happen unless you bring in like a short term fixed manager, like maybe you bring in like a Jose Mourinho to
Well, I mean, they did try that already, and
oh
that
yeah, but Jose
experiment seemed to have.
he did win some silverware while he was there, right?
Well, that's true,
Didn't win the
right?
league, but it was a short term fix. You got some short term glory, but long
But I
term
mean, it
it's
could
not
be
a
said that
reasonable.
Ten Hag won some trophies as well. He did
Right.
win the FA Cup,
Yeah,
so
yeah, but Ten Hag, what we're saying is Jose Mourinho was a short-term fix. He won some silverware. He brought in some players. Those players were, in my opinion, a lot of those players that Jose did bring in did need to be shipped out. Because, like, I know I was saying to even my cousin, who is a Man United fan years ago, that Pogba is a very there's a lot of talent there, but he is far too inconsistent for me to keep in my team. If I was United, Pogba would have been sold long ago. Instead, he was allowed to run down the contract again
but
and leave on a
was it
free.
an error initially bringing him back?
I
That,
I
I
thought
mean,
I thought it was they should not have brought him back. Not because he wasn't talented, like we said, he showed that talent in Juventus, right? And we saw glimpses of it while he was at United. But the lack of consistency at United, I can't fathom why the managers kept him around so long, to be honest. It was far too
well,
inconsistent.
I mean that ship has long sailed now, and
Right, but
we are several managers down the line.
it is the same thing that is happening. Every manager that has come has brought in
A
players
cycle,
that
it's
they
a
want
cycle.
a cycle, but the players that they have brought in are either not a good fit for the next manager who comes in, or so inconsistent or so poor that you have to just do a clear out. Prime example, Anthony. I do
Well,
not know what Anthony does at Man
we
United.
definitely have to keep a close eye on the Manchester United situation going forward for sure. It should be interesting times ahead over there in the city of Manchester for sure. And looking forward to see who is appointed and what sort of changes and success the new manager can actually get. But other big news, Christoph, Liverpool and Arsenal playing out to a 2-2 draw. That one I called spot on, Christoph. I called a draw in that game, and so it was. I mean, give us your take. What were your thoughts on that performance?
Um, I think it was a good performance from Arsenal, aside from letting in the two goals with some sloppy defending, to be fair. Liverpool did not get their rhythm going. They couldn't, not until probably late down in the game, they kind of got a bit of a rhythm, but it seems like Arsenal disrupted them here and there. And I don't know if Liverpool was not up for the task, playing away from home. Maybe they were playing more reserved. I don't know. Couldn't tell, but they did.
I don't think you can approach a game of this magnitude reserved. I think it was more down to the tactic of Arsenal and possibly being overawed by the situation as well. This is probably one of the first big tests. When I say massive tests, I should say, in terms of Liverpool and this new manager slot. So that to me probably had a more impact
Right.
on the gameplay.
I don't know if Slat was perhaps nervous about the game, and
More than likely, for sure, possibly. But
right.
I thought in the second half, though, Christoph, Arsenal again got too defensive too early. And to me, that is what brought Liverpool back into the game.
I
Arsenal started to
I
sit off.
I agree with you. It's a kind of I don't know if it's a leftover that Arteta has from being an apprentice of Pep, because if we look earlier into Pep Guardiola's career, he used to go defensive too early in certain games where he felt that maybe it was one, maybe he wanted to see out the result. One prime example I can think of is when Champions League, it was Arsenal versus Barcelona. Barca was leading 1-0 and Pep withdrew, I think, David Villa, 65th minute, only for Arsenal to come back and win 2-1. And part of the reason why they kind of lost that game was that you have removed the focal point of your attack and put on a defensive player with nobody filling that void, nobody occupying those defenders. Arsenal was free to kind of play their football. And I've seen that happening with Arteta, where he will withdraw an attacking option and bring on a defensive option. But in my opinion, he does it far too early and try to see out the games. I think you continue attacking until the team has either given up the hope of winning or there is not enough time to really come back into the game. Um, but Arsenal kind of, Liverpool obviously they got a point from the game,
Yeah, you have to
but
give credit to Liverpool coming
ba
from behind twice.
based on how they played, honestly, Liverpool didn't deserve a point based on how they played.
What? No, man. I mean, it took some real resilience to bounce back from going behind twice. I mean,
I,
that shows some,
in my
you know,
while
yeah, that shows
Liver,
some drive, some passion.
I think Liverpool took the two goals that they scored very well. However, I feel like the two goals were as a result of sloppy defending. Sloppy set piece defending from Arsenal. Kai
Well,
Havertz sloppy, right? When you're defending a set piece, you must win that first ball. Have to. If you don't
right.
win the first ball, the second ball obviously must be won.
Trouble.
That didn't happen. Sloppy defending. Second goal is Ben White, I think, went to track Darwin Nunes, allowing Salah to move inside. And like I've said, Salah is Liverpool's best finisher. I think he should be moved centrally to better utilize his finishing.
No, I think playing off the wing, that is Salah's position. Tried, tested, proven. Playing central is a
Hey,
different sort of occupation.
for about 85% of this match, Salah was quite useless out on the wing.
No, I mean the thing is it's
Jury and
different
Tim,
being a point man
he was
versus
in
running onto balls, which
he
is
was
what Salah is
in
good at.
Jury and Timber's back pocket for the majority of the game. It seems like that injury probably saved him.
No, well, I wouldn't go so far. I mean, the man did provide the equalizing goal.
After
Uh,
Timber had come off injured.
well, that's no fault of Salah's own. You have to take
Didn't
advantage of what's given to you.
I never said it was any fault of
But I
Salah.
mean,
I'm saying
definitely Salah is a quality player, and definitely the right wing is his best position. Try test and proven over the period, and of course, you don't want to disrupt what is working. Liverpool is still up there at the top of the table, and they've only lost one game all season. So that is definitely something to
well,
be
Liverpool
be
is currently in
highlighted.
second, is no longer in first.
Well,
Manchester City is
yeah, I
leading by a
mean,
point.
it's early days. It's early days. You're still keeping pace. I mean, anything can happen at this point in time. The league is just beginning to take shape. I would say so. A point away to Arsenal, in my book, is a decent result. It's not the best of results, but if you were giving out points before kickoff, I would definitely take a point versus this Arsenal team at Arsenal. It simply means that you took point away from them, and it's all square going forward into the rest of the season. But definitely a good result for Liverpool. It might not have been the best performance, but coming from 2 goals or coming from behind twice, that's definitely some positive that the manager can take away from this one. And I feel these players would have left Arsenal feeling a bit more confident in themselves as opposed to if they had gone there and lost this game. But we move, definitely. But another big game, Christoph, Chelsea looking like the real deal at this point in time, getting a 2-1 victory over Newcastle. Talk to us about that game. That man again, Cole Palmer was one to watch in that game. Jackson looking like a striker in form at this point in time. And really, Newcastle are still trying to find their feet. That run off
Isak.
points, but poor performance seem to be catching up on them at this point in time.
It would appear so for Newcastle, but hard to say if it's well. We said they're they're winning games above what they're playing, or above the level that they played earlier in the season, because
Earlier, definitely.
they've definitely been on a run of poor games last 5 matches. I think it's what
Right.
three losses, 2 draws, or something like that. So it's been poor for them, but
Yeah, maybe the first 5 games, I would say
they
they got the points, but to me, the performance did not match.
right
But
because
since then, I think things have now leveled off for Newcastle. We're seeing them playing at their level. I don't think they're punching above their weight anymore. And we're seeing the difference in results, I would say.
to be fair, earlier in the season, the teams that they played, aside from that win that they got against Tottenham, were teams that you could say would have been lesser teams than them. You would say they're better than those teams,
On
right?
paper.
The matches that they've lost so far, they've lost to Manchester City, right? I don't think anybody would have been expecting them to beat Man City, right? They lost to this rejuvenated Fulham team, right? And then this weekend, what, they lost to Chelsea. So these are all teams that are better than them. So they've
Well,
lost games against teams that are better, but they've beaten teams that you would say are weaker
uh,
than them.
well,
So
true.
I don't know. To me, and to you, it looks like they have overachieved based on their performances, but it
Yes,
could
I
be.
would say so. I feel earlier in the season they were getting the points on the board. However, I thought the performances were poor. Now we're seeing okay performances, but the points are not coming in as they were before. So to me, they have now leveled off. What we're seeing from Newcastle now is the genuine article. This is their default setting, I would say.
I I
You
I
know,
I don't want to say that they've leveled up just yet,
yes,
just
man, they've
because of
definitely
what
leveled
I have
off.
said.
I don't see them rising any higher.
Well,
Plague plus with the sort of injuries that their key players are picking up as well. The likes of Isak, we still haven't seen Wilson all season. That's another striker they're missing, and
I
other players
I
are rotating in and out.
I think we need a couple more
Defensively, their big
games
defenders
before
are
we
also
can say.
injured.
For Newcastle, I think we need a couple more games to see, do they bounce back in the next 2, 3 games before we can come to that conclusion, to be fair.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But Chelsea, definitely, Chelsea look like the genuine article. Look like a team that will be hovering in and around that top 4, Christoph. I mean, maybe hovering between first and I would say eighth position.
I don't. Chelsea will be hovering around the top four. I don't know yet that they will make the top four, but they're definitely showing that they are better than the rest. I don't know if they're better than the top four at the moment, because So far, there's only really been one test for them, and it's been Man City, and they have lost.
Well,
You know,
they did
they
face
looked
Liverpool as well.
and they lost to Liverpool, right?
That's right.
So I don't know that they are better than the top four teams. It is obvious they're
Yeah,
better
I
than
don't
the
see
other
that. That's
teams.
why I say hovering between first and eighth. So I
No,
see them just outside the top four. I
I,
would put Aston Villa slightly ahead of them currently.
yeah, I would say Aston Villa is better than them currently. I
But
don't
the
know if
season is
they're
still
better than
young,
Tottenham.
to be honest. They do have money to spend. They do have
Chelsea,
quality
are
in
with,
depth.
Chelsea's never without
So
money to spend.
the season is long. If they can get a level of consistency going forward, then as I said, they should be a threat to finishing in the top four, possibly fourth. I think it will be a very tight battle for the team which finished fourth. I feel the first 1 to 3 is already set. It's just a matter of the order, which on paper right now, to me, I would have to go City, Liverpool, Arsenal, in all honesty. So I think the top three, those will be the top three. The positions may vary. And then it will be a battle royale for the team which finishes fourth. Aston Villa
Mm.
should be in the mix. Chelsea should be in the mix. Possibly a Spurs. And if Man United can get a new coach, bounce Christoph, and pick up some quick points, go on a little run, then they could elevate themselves in that conversation as well. But lots of football still to play. We've just gone 9 games in the season. The league is starting to take shape, and we see a lot of interesting results popping up. None more so than this weekend, in all honesty. It's the first time, Christoph, in recent time, I'm seeing so many either late winners or late equalizers to come back into games. What's going on? Is it the amount of time being added on by these VAR referrals, etc.? We're seeing a lot of late goals.
I think that is partially it. There's a lot of extra time that's added, which is very good in my opinion. Because there's also a lot of time wasting that some of these teams
Arsenal
usually
seem to
can.
be one of the main culprits at that.
No, well, it would be hypocritical to say Arsenal is one of the main culprits
Well, the statistics will show that.
because if you go back to Arsenal playing, you go back last year, you go back the season before, and you can go as far back to even the days of George Graham. You will see that one of the
I'm not
our
sure many of our viewers and subscribers will
right.
know those names, Christoph.
If you go back to George Graham's last season, and then you go through Arsene Wenger, and then you go through even Unai Emery, you will find that a lot of teams tended to waste time against Arsenal,
Well, I
especially
mean, in recent time, that script have flipped, and
right.
it's now
But
Arsenal, the team which is wasting a lot of times,
it's
especially
a
on
it's
free
a
kicks, set pieces,
it's
etc.
Arsenal
We've seen a
doesn't
number
waste
of their
time.
players being booked for time wasting and subsequently leading to red
Uh,
cards as well,
we've seen a
which
lot
have
of
resulted in them actually dropping points. If you look at the games which Arsenal have either lost or drawn,
we've
they
seen
finish
a
a game
lot
with
of
10.
harsh punishment directed to Arsenal
Well,
versus the other teams because other
hmm,
teams are wasting time and doing the exact same thing as Arsenal, but they are not being carded for it.
but but
For whatever reason, the FA or the referees have decided to make an example out of Arsenal versus a
well,
Manchester City who does the exact same thing.
well, I mean, going back to these late goals though, Christoph, we saw a number of late finishes. Everton coming from a goal down to equalizing that one. That was a big equalizer there, 90 plus. Better finding an equalizer in that game. We saw a shootout over there in that Brentford game as well. That was another thriller.
Uh,
And
I think it's two things, a combination of two things. I think it's a case where teams who need that equalizer or need that winner are realizing that they have the time to do it and are committing players to getting that result. And also it's a case of the team who is trying to defend that lead, defend the win or whatever, are taking their foot off the gas far too early and trying to see out the result. So when you get to 90 minutes, they're trying to defend out the result, which, to be fair, is the mentality that a lot of teams have had for a lot of years. trying to kind of just get over the line. But with
But I
so much
mean,
extra time being added, they're just not used to continuing to play beyond the 90.
that's right. Yep. And I mean, we saw it in the Aston Villa game. Bournemouth coming from behind deep into extra time in that one. Wolves coming from behind versus Brighton also. So it's not just happening in one-off games. It seemed to be consistently happening. And no longer can you take your eyes off the TV when it hit 90 minutes. In fact, that is probably time you need to be most focused because you might just miss a late equalizer, a late winner, a heartbreaker, so to speak.
Com
And
com
that was definitely the case
complacency
this weekend.
complacency is kind of setting into these teams who are trying to defend that lead. Once it touches the 90, right now the entire league is experiencing what people used to call Fergie time.
Well, yes, definitely. And I mean, with the advent of VAR as well and the five substitutions, that also helps with additional time being added on or a longer extra time period. It's possibly 30 seconds for every subs. So if you have five subs, and then, of course, VAR checks, maybe offside, a goal ruled off, the referee having to go and look at the VAR screen. So, and injuries as well, especially like head injuries, for example. The referee has to stop the game immediately. And that time, which is lost during the regular course of the game, is added at the end. So, at the end of the day, you might see plus 10, plus 12, plus 15 minutes. Those sort of numbers when back in the past it was more like plus 2, plus 3, plus 5, but now we're seeing double digits in terms of minutes added on. And that was the case this weekend. But it's definitely thrilling for the fans. And it's definitely something to look forward to. But going across the pond, Christoph, we oftentimes forget that La Liga is still playing. No more Messi, no more Ronaldo, but El Clasico is active. And we saw Barcelona taking it to Real Madrid over the weekend. Did you get a chance to at least see the highlights for that one?
Yeah, I did watch that game. I thought it was an embarrassment for Real Madrid. To be honest, Kylian Mbappe offside, scoring two. I think they were well taken goals, but they are offside, to be fair. I don't really like how La Liga does their VAR, using the animation versus showing the actual players, I don't know that these were actually offside if you don't show me the actual player.
Mm.
But yeah, embarrassing for them. Something to kind of go back to the drawing board. It seems like Mbappe maybe has thrown off the balance of the team, so to speak. There might need to be some shifting to accommodate or to better utilize his talents. Uh, maybe he needs to go to the bench and then he comes on as a
Oh
substitute.
no, the
But
bench definitely not.
the
Ancelotti has to find a way to fit all his players in the same system.
oh,
Possibly
he
it's a
def
case of maybe playing two defensive midfielders with so many attacking players thereabouts, or But definitely, Mbappe is a starter.
oh
You
no,
have to have your best players out
Def
there.
definitely Mbappe won't go to the bench, but I'm saying, in order to potentially, get your results during the league, you might need to bench a player while you're working out what you need to
Well,
do.
the benching will be Mbappe for sure. Rodrigo seemed to possibly be that man to be sacrificed, but Mbappe definitely not. But credit has to be given to this Barcelona team, Christoph. I mean, they brushed aside Bayern Munich midweek, and then come weekend, they're taking care of business versus their arch rival, Real Madrid. I
Uh,
mean,
I
credit has to be given to this
Oh,
Barcelona
I
team.
definitely a lot of credit has to be given to Barcelona, and to Hansi Flick, but it I think beating Real Madrid is far more impressive than beating this Bayern Munich team at the moment. Because, like as I said, it's the same Bayern Munich team last season who flopped all season. I don't think they're as good as people might think. Oh, people probably is, oh, the mighty Bayern Munich. They're not. They're not that good. All right. The Bundesliga is the
Well, I mean,
Bundesliga.
on paper, they do have some quality players, I must say,
And
but
oh, definitely, definitely. But a lot of these players are
I'm
kind
not
of
sure if the balance is right in the team, and of course, the inexperience of the manager in the form of
the
company as
the
well.
the inexperience of the manager is definitely showing those last couple of games. But again, like it's the same Bayern Munich team that lost the league to Leverkusen, a league that they
Yeah,
had won for
defensively,
what
they're struggling. Defensively,
11,
they're
15
definitely struggling.
years in a row. All right, people seem to forget. While Bayern is a powerhouse of the league, the rest of the league is not very good. So when they come up against quality opposition, you kind of see the cracks forming. It the demolition of Real Madrid is far more impressive because this is a quality Real Madrid team. They don't look as good as they were last season, but this is almost the same team that just won the Champions League.
That is true. That is true. And as I said, Hansi Flick getting the job done there at Barcelona. But the question is, Christoph, can Barcelona win the league? Having now beaten Real Madrid, can Barcelona return to glory in La Liga? Or
Definitely, definitely. Honestly, with Hansi Flick, it wouldn't be shocking to see Barcelona taking home a treble this season. To
a
be honest,
treble?
yeah,
A treble? No, man.
Champions League, La Liga, and
That is a
Copa del
that's a
Rey. It
very
wouldn't be
bold
surprising,
call.
right?
I can see them winning La Liga, but
Lewando,
I think the Champions
Lewandowski,
League may be a step too far
Lewandowski looks
with
rejuvenated.
this new format as well.
Lewandowski looks rejuvenated. He looks back to his best. There's been a revitalization of Rafinha, who looks very, very impressive in my opinion.
Well, can
Um,
he be consistent is the question.
that is the question. With Lamal still looking impressive, carrying straight on from last season, straight on from the Euros at the moment.
He was a Ballon d'Or nominee as well. And speaking of Ballon d'Or, we saw Real Madrid boycotting the Ballon d'Or because Vinicius Jr. was
Ridiculous,
snubbed
ridiculous,
for that
ridiculous.
award. Rodri, the Man City defensive midfielder, taking home that
I
award.
honestly, I don't even think Vinicius. If I was to give the Ballon d'Or to a Real Madrid player, it would not be Vinicius. It would be Jude
Probably a
Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham.
Right. I don't think last season Vinicius was better than Bellingham. I think
I
it's a
agree.
bit.
I agree.
I think it's very childish of Madrid to kind of carry out that. Oh, you didn't win the Ballon d'Or, so what? So what? It's
Mm.
the Ballon d'Or is people's opinions, but I could not see anybody aside from Roger winning it. It would have been ridiculous. It would have been,
Yeah, I would, to be honest, I was looking closely at Jude. I think if England had gone on to win the Euros, I think Jude would
right.
have won and should
I
have won. But I
definitely.
can definitely accept Rodri with his Spain team who went on to win the Euros and of course doing the business at Man City as well. So to me, deserved award, definitely deserved award.
I agree. Definitely deserved by Rodri. I like I said, I couldn't see anybody else winning it. Anybody else winning it would have been a robbery, in my opinion. He won. He
But
won the
we've seen
Euros.
that
He
happen
was.
a number of times with this
Uh,
Ballon d'Or. I
well,
mean,
we've seen a number of
it's an
robberies.
award which has lost its credibility over time.
Definitely. I mean, the 2003 award was shocking. To be honest, I don't
Oh,
understand how.
2003, remind us of that one.
Sorry, not 2003, 2023, but the 2003 one was also shocking. Very
Well,
shocking.
who won it in 2003?
2003, it was Pavel Nedved. Pavel Nedved. Shocking. Shocking.
Why you're
Shocking.
saying that one came out of nowhere? They were better deserving candidates.
Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry. Yeah, that's definitely one which has gone down in history as a big snub. Yeah, Thierry Henry that year was at the top of his game, and it still seemed to cut him deep, even to this day, Christoph, when the Ballon d'Or is spoken of.
Definitely.
But
There's definitely he's definitely annoyed, and it's not like it was one snub. There are a number of other years that Henry
questionable cause,
should have
questionable cause.
won the Ballon d'Or. Henry not winning the Ballon d'Or in the 03-04 season is even more ridiculous, considering that Arsenal went on to win the league unbeaten. And Henry, I believe, set the record for most assists in a single season across all of Europe. So,
Mm.
and he was a striker, centre forward. So,
Reminiscing on the old days there, it seems, Christoph, you know.
uh,
But back to
doing
reality, you know, Rodri, congratulations to Rodri, taking home the Ballon d'Or. He's injured at this point in time, out for the season, it would seem. So for sure, he won't be able to defend that title. But definitely congratulations to him and the Man City team. A deserved award, in my opinion. But Christoph, talk to us generally. How was this week of football? Give us your overview of what took place over the weekend.
a lot of upsets on the weekend. Tottenham, shocking result for
Going
Tottenham.
down 1-0 there to Crystal Palace. Crystal
Shocking.
Palace getting their first win of the season at home. That man, Eze, providing the assist for Mateta. It was a result that was needed, especially for the manager. Jasna. He definitely needed that result. And the same thing could be said over there at West Ham, Christoph. Lopetegui definitely needed a win versus
Some
Manchester United, and he got it.
somebody needed a win. Somebody
Right.
needed a win.
To me, whoever lost that game would have been sacked. And it's the Manchester United manager which got the sack.
Yeah, but for Lopetegui, it really only delays the sack, I think, for a week because
Possibility,
you
possibility.
have to build on the result, and I don't know that they can at
Mm.
the moment, to be fair.
Well, they have shown glimpses and they do have a decent squad. So it's really up to the players and the manager to really get these results.
Indeed, they have a decent squad. Julian Lopetegui, former Real Madrid manager. I don't know. It could be that it needs a different manager to get the best out of these players. Might be the best for them. Might even be the best for the manager. Some managers can only manage at a certain level, and maybe the level of West Ham is too low. Maybe he needs better quality players.
We'll have to
You
definitely
know,
watch
I
and see how
I
the
I
season progress.
I'm not sure I could see like a Pep Guardiola managing a Southampton. I don't think.
Indeed,
I,
indeed, indeed.
right, I don't. I think the results would not be the same. So some managers can only manage at a certain level, right? Carlo Ancelotti, great manager, but he wasn't doing anything at Everton.
That is true. That is true, Christoph. But we are out of time. We have to pick this one up in our next podcast, Christoph. But thanks again for coming through. Viewers and subscribers, thanks again for logging in. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.